just a smidgen here. So as you can tell, it is bright outside. It is actually after school right now. Open my window just a smidgen on both sides. It's kind of hot in here. You can barely see me because the light's so great. I like that. Oh, you won't. But we can try. We can give it our all, right? Okay. So today is a 3-day week. And I'm so excited it's a 3-day week because I am so tired. Like, so tired. So it's a 3-day week. Today was way better than last Thursday. So that's a plus. Definitely a plus. And for math wise, we got through like half of a section. And then we need to finish. Like, I'm just spending all day doing this one section, and then next week it's going to be notating. So, like, it's called, like, not interval notation, but it's like notating inequalities. And so I've decided not to do absolute value inequalities because I just don't want to do it. And it's not essential. Like, it's not. And so I'm just not going to. So I'll get in what I can, but we are definitely testing next Friday. Kind of a thing. And then we'll move on to chapter 3. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, there really wasn't much. I had an IEP meeting today after school that the parent didn't show up to. So now I have to try to reschedule it for next week. If they don't show up again, then I can reschedule it again. So we have to reschedule it 3 times. And on the 3rd time, we could have the IEP meeting without the parent. So it might end up getting to that. It might not. I'm not sure. But the parent did not show up today, so I have to reach back out and reschedule. So that also makes this IEP now pretty much non-compliant. Not my fault. I'm trying. But it is what it is. But I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna go home. I actually told my husband like 20 minutes ago that I was gonna head out and go home. And I'm still here. So I should probably actually go home now. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. It's a short week. But we'll make the most of it this week. So I'll see you guys later. Bye. Hey. So it's my planning period right now. About 6 minutes until the bell rings. I was working on an IEP, which I'm gonna have to finish at home. I also have to finish my daughter's choose thank you thing tonight at home, which is gonna be hard to do all of that because, you know, I'm not gonna get home until like 7 tonight. But I had a discussion with my district supervisor today. She wants me to try a different layout in my classroom. And I want to be open-minded about it. I do. I want to be open-minded. But this layout gets rid of that whole happy, homey feeling that I want in my classroom. So I don't know what to do. I'll show it to you. Like, this totally changes my entire classroom, and I don't like it. Like, I actually really hate it. And it gives me anxiety, honestly. Like, to be completely honest with everyone, the layout that they want me to try right now, it's raising my anxiety levels. And you have students come in next period, and they're gonna be like, what the hell is going on? And I'm gonna be like, trying something new. This also makes it so that when I have meetings with parents, it's not as conducive for that. To show you, it makes me sad. I feel like it defeats my whole flexible seating purpose. And the problem is, I can't just move these tables back and forth for classes that might need this. If I do this, it stays like this all day, every day. Because these are heavy tables. They have not granite, but limestone tops. These are science tables. They're heavy, they're sturdy, and they're a pain in the butt to move. But this is what it looks like right now. There we go. just turn the camera around for you guys. I now have rows. At least they're not desks, right? Like, what are they supposed to even do with these tables over here now? You can barely access those chairs back there when there used to be a ton of room back there to sit. This doesn't give, it's not conducive to group work. I'm ready to cry about it. I put a lot of thought into how I wanted my room. And I know it was only a suggestion, but like since it came from my district supervisor, like I figured I should try the suggestion for a few weeks. And I want to give it my all because like and maybe I can tell my students, you know, that there are some classes that are extremely chatty and off task. And so we're going to do this for a few weeks. If we're able to stop the chattiness during class and stay focused as a class completely, then we can move, as soon as we can do that consistently, we can move back to the groups setting and try that again. I just hate it. I really hate it. Changes everything. I'll let you go. I'm gonna spend my last 2 minutes just sitting here. I might go in and tell my coworker, like, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it so bad. But I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Good morning and happy Wednesday. It's before school. I'm actually vlogging before school today. Today for class, we're just gonna continue with what we've been doing the last few days because it's fall break starting tomorrow, so we don't have school Thursday or Friday, so I kind of dragged out this section all week long, so we'll do some extra practice with it today, and then they'll do their like comprehension check on the section to see if they actually understood what we did. Also, last night was parent-teacher conferences for my kids, and it was awful. Absolutely awful. So there are a few things as a teacher, and I know I'm just a first-year teacher, and I say just a first-year teacher, but I've had lots of years in the education background, and dealing with special needs kids and just a bunch of stuff. So while it's my first year in my own classroom, heading up my own class kind of thing, there are a few things that like I am very passionate about, and like it's black, like there's some things that aren't black and white in the education world, but there's a few things that are black and white. One thing that I'm very passionate about that's not necessarily black and white, and so that's why I'm like, is the whole flexible seating thing. I'm very passionate about it, but it's not a right or there's not a right and wrong way to seat kids. Like, so I won't come into your classroom and say, oh, you have desks, so you're wrong, kind of a thing. It's not like that at all. But there are some things that teachers do that are just blatantly wrong. And both of my kids' teachers were doing something that was blatantly wrong. And so we had a very heated discussion in both of the parent-teacher conferences that I went to last night. So my middle son, Ira, his teacher was grading math homework and math tests and stuff like that, and if my son didn't put the like today's date on it, like the date that he did it on it, she would take a point off. And I was like, that's wrong. And like I said, there are a few things that I'm like, you know, there's gray area in some things, but in other things it's like blatantly wrong, and this was one of those things that's just blatantly wrong. And so she was understanding, and she was like, and like as a teacher I would try to never, like when a parent is like super upset like I was last night, like I was that parent last night. I was that parent. I would never I would hope I would never at least be like, I understand what you're feeling. I understand, like, and just constantly say that, because that aggravates the person even more, because you don't understand, because you're doing something wrong and you don't understand why it's wrong. So you don't understand why I would be feeling that way, because you think that you're right and it's not right. And like I said, there's very few things I would call people out on. This is one of them. And so finally we were going over some of his papers, and like I was just like, you know what, let's just continue, because it obviously wasn't getting anywhere with the teacher. And so she pulled out a paper. It was like a math paper that there were like 26 or 27 questions on it. And it was like a math timing thing. And he did get some wrong on his math facts. But I also noticed that he didn't put the date, so she took a point off for that. And I was like, so how many problems were on this paper? And she goes, I don't remember the number. She's like 27. Okay. And we counted up how many he got wrong, but there was one more taken off for points for the date. And I was like, do you see how that skewed your data? Do you see how taking off a point for something that has nothing to do with what you're trying to achieve here on this worksheet skewed your data? And then the light bulb came on for her. She's like, oh. And that's why it's wrong. You don't take points off for things that have absolutely nothing to do with the data. It skews your data. And I have a really hard time with some things in here with that still, but like that one was like black and white. I could see it was wrong. So she said that it was like a school-wide policy, which it's not. This is the first time I've ever heard of this. And I've had my oldest son has been going there for 5 years now. And so it's not a school policy. There's students in the hallway, so I need to kind of hurry. And then my oldest son's. So the first one, like, sorry. My middle son's one went okay. But the second one, you guys. So last week, in preparation for parent-teacher conferences, they sent home a paper. Parents were supposed to go over this paper with their child and write an academic goal, a plan on how they were going to achieve the academic goal, and they were supposed to write a social goal and a plan of how they were going to achieve this social goal. That's what they were supposed to do. The parent was supposed to do that. So it was not the child's responsibility to force the parent to do it. If the parent didn't have time, like it was supposed to fall on the parent. And I didn't get to it until the night before parent-teacher conference, when my son was freaking out because he said he was going to miss recess if it wasn't turned in that day, and how if it wasn't turned in the next day, and how his name was on the missing work board and all these things. And I'm like, what the hell? And so we had a nice discussion, my son and I, and then he went in and he told his teacher about our nice discussion. So by the time I even walked into the room for my oldest son's parent-teacher conference, she was all up in arms and defensive, going, in my defense, in my defense, in my defense. And I wanted to smack her. And I told her, I was like, that paper said dear parents, which then put the responsibility on me and not my son. And she goes, well, it was a homework assignment. He was supposed to do it. I'm like, with me. And she goes, well, all homework's supposed to be done with the parents. And I'm like, no, 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 no. If a child can get their homework done on their own, they do it on their own. This was something that they could not do on their own, which then made the responsibility lie on the parent. And I was like, you do not punish a kid for what a parent hasn't had time to do. And she was getting all up. She's like, well, in my defense. And I'm like, it doesn't matter what defense you have. You do not punish a child for something a parent didn't do. It's the whole, in elementary school and stuff, you don't take away a kid's lunch because a parent didn't put money in their lunch account and shame them for what a parent didn't do, because they have no understanding of those concepts. And I'm like, it's the same thing. Like, you don't do that. And she goes, well, he wasn't being punished. And I'm like, telling him that he wasn't going to go to recess the next day for something I didn't do is a punishment. And she goes, well, we were just going to call the parents. Like, that's still a punishment. You don't do that. And I'm like, and my son, with his condition, with his autism, like, he was stressed out. He was mad at me. He was stressed out. It caused tension in the home. Like, you don't do that. And finally she goes, fine, I won't do that to Cole ever again. And I was like, no, it's wrong. You won't do it to any student. I'm like, you will not write their name on a missing workboard for something a parent didn't do. That is a form of punishment. You don't punish a kid for what a parent doesn't do. Like, it was, I'm getting heated about it now. And like, she just throws her hands back. She's like, fine, whatever. So I'm like, let's just move on. I'm like, let's get through the rest of this and move on, because it was just not good. It wasn't good. And I hope that she went home, and I hope she told her husband or whatever all about me and really reflected on it and realized, like, oh, that's why it's wrong. But I was that parent last night, and I'm pretty sure my son's teacher hates me. So that's fun. But I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna finish getting ready for the day because it is now 7:43. School starts in about 15 minutes, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.